I was setting up my husband's new phone when I found the screenshots that would destroy our marriage. My name is Ruby, and I thought I was being a good wife. Cameron had been complaining about his old phone for weeks, so when he finally upgraded, I offered to transfer everything while he showered. Just being helpful, the way I'd been helpful for the past 12 years. The photo backup started automatically, hundreds of images syncing from his cloud storage, family photos, work documents, random screenshots he'd saved. I was half watching, half listening to him humming in the bathroom when a series of bank screenshots caught my eye. Account balance $87,000. I'd never seen this account before. My hands went cold. I scrolled through more screenshots, text messages between Cameron and his mother Victoria. My stomach dropped as I read them. The escape fund is almost ready, Victoria had written. Ruby won't see it coming. Cameron's response, she's been so focused on the kids she has no idea what we've been moving around. This will be clean. Good. Women like her always think they're safe because they gave up their careers. She'll learn. I sat there on our bed holding his phone, reading message after message about how they'd been planning this for months, maybe longer, moving money, hiding assets, preparing for the day Cameron would file for divorce and leave me with nothing. Hey, babe, how's it going? Cameron called from the bathroom. Almost done, I called back, my voice somehow steady. More screenshots, bank transfers, legal documents I didn't recognize, a contact saved as divorce attorney, do not call from home. My chest felt tight. 12 years, 2 kids. I'd given up my marketing career when Luna was born because Cameron said we were a team. We don't need 2 incomes, he'd said. I want you home with our babies. We're building something together. Building something, right? I kept scrolling, found a voice memo from 3 weeks ago. Cameron talking to someone, probably Victoria, about the timeline. Ruby's completely dependent now, his voice said through the phone speaker, barely audible. No recent work experience, no savings of her own. The lawyer says if we do this right, she'll have to settle for whatever we offer. I turned the volume down, my hands shaking. She's gotten comfortable, Victoria's voice responded. Comfortable women don't fight back. They just accept what they're given. The shower was still running. I had maybe 5 more minutes. I forwarded the screenshots to my own phone, all of them, the bank statements, the text messages, everything. My fingers moved automatically while my brain tried to process what I was seeing. $87,000 hidden from me, while I'd been clipping coupons and asking if we could afford Luna's art classes. Ruby, you okay out there? Just finishing up the contacts, I said. I deleted the forwarded messages from his sent folder, cleared the recent activity, made sure everything looked untouched. When Cameron came out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, hair still damp, I was sitting exactly where he'd left me, phone in my lap, charger plugged in. All set, I said, handing it to him. He kissed the top of my head. Thanks, babe. You're the best. I watched him get dressed for work, the same routine we'd had for years. He grabbed his coffee, kissed me goodbye, told me he'd be late tonight. Big presentation tomorrow. Good luck, I said. After his car pulled out of the driveway, I sat in our kitchen and opened my laptop. I Googled marketing certification renewal courses and found a program that started next weekend, evening and weekend classes. I could tell Cameron it was a self-care thing, mommy time. I filled out the application. Then I Googled divorce attorneys near me and started reading reviews. Luna came downstairs for breakfast, backpack already on her shoulders. Mom, you look different. Different how? I don't know, like you're thinking about something important. I poured her cereal. Just planning some changes, sweetheart. That night, Cameron came home with flowers, Grocery store roses, but still. He kissed me and said he was sorry for being so busy lately. I know I haven't been the most present husband, he said, but things are going to get better. I promise. I smiled and put the flowers in water. I believe you. He fell asleep beside me, warm and content, completely unaware that I now knew everything. I lay there in the dark, listening to him breathe, and started planning. I'm taking a weekend course, I told Cameron over breakfast. Marketing certification renewal. It's at the community college. He looked up from his phone. That sounds great, babe. Good for you. It's every Saturday for 6 weeks. I thought it might be nice to get back into that world a little. Absolutely. You should do things for yourself. He reached over and squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you for taking initiative. The irony made my stomach turn. The first Saturday, I dropped Luna and Marley at my sister's and drove to the college. The classroom was full of women like me, some younger, some older, all trying to rebuild something they'd lost. During the break, I struck up a conversation with a woman named Camila. She was sharp, confident, wearing a blazer that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. I remember you, she said suddenly. Ruby, right? We worked together at Morrison and Associates about 15 years ago. It clicked. Camila had been in account management when I was in creative. We grabbed drinks a few times before I got married. Oh my God, Camila, I can't believe it's you. What are you doing here? Last I heard, you were living the suburban dream. Things change, I said carefully. She studied my face. Want to grab coffee after class? We went to a little cafe near campus. Camila ordered an espresso and got straight to the point. You look like someone who's planning something, she said. What makes you say that? Because I've seen that look in the mirror when I was getting ready to leave my ex-husband. She leaned forward. What's going on? I told her everything. The phone, the screenshots, the secret account. Camila listened without interrupting, her expression getting darker with each detail. 87,000, she said when I finished, and his mother's involved. They've been planning this for months. Of course they have. Men like Cameron don't just wake up one day and decide to screw over their wives. They strategize. She stirred her coffee. What's your plan? I don't have one yet. Well, you need one, and you need a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. You need someone who fights dirty. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through contacts. Reese Norton. She handled my divorce. Absolute shark. She'll eat Cameron alive. I don't know if I'm ready for... Ready for what? Ready to protect yourself? Ready to make sure your kids don't grow up thinking it's normal for men to financially abuse their wives? Camila's voice was sharp. Ruby, the woman I knew 15 years ago, wouldn't have hesitated. That hit something deep. I'm not that person anymore. Bullshit. You're exactly that person. You just forgot for a while. Monday morning, I called Reese Norton's office. Her assistant scheduled me for Wednesday afternoon. Initial consultation is $200, she said. Bring any financial documents you have access to. I spent Tuesday gathering everything I could find. Bank statements, tax returns, insurance policies. I made copies and hid the originals in a safety deposit box I opened under my maiden name. Reese's office was in a glass tower downtown. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Tell me why you're here, she said. I showed her the screenshots. She studied them carefully, occasionally making notes. How long have you been married? 12 years. Kids? 2, 10 and 6. Your employment history? I worked in marketing until Luna was born. Haven't worked since. She nodded. Classic financial control setup. He isolates you economically, then uses that isolation as leverage. She looked up. The good news is he's been sloppy. These screenshots are admissible. The bad news is if he's been planning this long, there's probably more money hidden. What do I do? First, you stay calm. Don't confront him. Don't change your behavior. We need time to build a case. She leaned back. Second, you start documenting everything. Every conversation, every financial transaction you can access, every interaction with his mother. Like a journal? Exactly. Date, time, what was said, who was present. Make it detailed. She handed me a card. Third, you need to start thinking about your own financial independence. Do you have any money he doesn't know about? No. Then we need to fix that. Quietly. I left her office with a list of tasks and a retainer agreement. $5,000 up front, money I didn't have. That evening, Cameron was unusually affectionate. He brought home takeout from my favorite restaurant and suggested we watch a movie together. You seem different lately, he said as we settled on the couch. Happier. The class is good for me? I'm glad. You deserve to do things that make you feel fulfilled. I smiled and leaned against his shoulder, thinking about the notebook I'd started that morning. Page 1, Blueprint for Destruction. Cameron? Yeah? I love you. I love you too, babe. He squeezed my hand and I squeezed back, already planning my next move. I found the key while Cameron was at his company golf tournament. He'd left his golf bag in the garage and I was looking for his spare car keys when my fingers brushed against something taped inside one of the club covers. A small silver key, the kind that opens safety deposit boxes. My hands were shaking as I peeled it free. There was a number written on a piece of tape, 247. I called Camila immediately. He has a safety deposit box I don't know about, I said. Where? I have no idea. The key just says 247. Start with banks near his office. Go during lunch hours when it's busy. Wear sunglasses and act like you belong there. The next day I tried 3 banks before I found the right one. First National, 2 blocks from Cameron's building. I walked up to the safety deposit box area like I owned the place. I need to access box 247, I told the clerk. ID, please. I handed over my driver's license, praying Cameron had put me on the access list. The clerk checked her computer. Mrs. Shepherd, right this way. My heart was pounding as she led me to the vault. The key turned easily. Inside the narrow metal box were documents, more keys, and a thick envelope. I photographed everything with my phone, hands trembling. Bank drafts showing wire transfers to something called Meridian Wealth Management, Cayman Islands. Unsigned divorce papers with my name already filled in. A second set of keys labeled Storage Unit 15B. The envelope contained cash, a lot of cash. I counted $20,000 in hundreds. Take your time, the clerk said, stepping back. I photographed every document, every serial number on the bills. Then I put everything back exactly as I'd found it. That evening, Cameron came home whistling. How was golf? I asked. Great, shot an 82. He kissed my cheek. What did you do today? Grocery shopping, laundry, the usual. You're amazing, you know that? I don't know how you manage everything, I smiled. Just doing my job. Saturday morning, I met Camila at a coffee shop across town. Cayman Islands, she said, looking at the photos on my phone. Classic offshore hiding spot. How much do you think is there? No way to know without account numbers. What about the storage unit? I haven't been there yet. We should go together. Safety in numbers. The storage facility was in an industrial part of town. Unit 15B was climate controlled, about the size of a walk-in closet. Inside were boxes of financial records, old computers, and filing cabinets. Jesus, Camila whispered. He's been planning this for years. I opened the first filing cabinet. Tax returns going back a decade, but not the ones I'd seen at home. These showed income I'd never known about: consulting fees, investment returns, rental property income. Look at this, Camilla said, holding up a folder. Property deeds. He owns 3 rental units downtown. That's impossible, I would have known. Not if they're in a trust or his mother's name. We spent 2 hours photographing everything: bank statements from accounts I'd never heard of, legal documents establishing LLCs, investment portfolios worth hundreds of thousands. Ruby, your husband isn't just hiding money for a divorce, Camila said as we loaded the last box back. He's been hiding money from the IRS. That night, Luna came into my room while I was updating my blueprint notebook. Mom, are you and Dad getting divorced? My pen stopped moving. Why would you ask that? Sarah's parents got divorced last year. Her mom acted just like you do now, like she was thinking about something all the time. I closed the notebook and pulled her onto the bed. Are you worried about something? Dad's been weird too. He keeps having quiet phone calls with Grandma Victoria. And yesterday I heard him tell someone on the phone that he was almost ready to make the move. My stomach dropped. What exactly did you hear? He said Ruby doesn't suspect anything and the timeline is still on track. She looked at me with those serious 10-year-old eyes. Mom, what timeline? I hugged her tight. Sometimes adults have to make difficult decisions, sweetheart. But no matter what happens, Dad and I both love you and Marley very much. But you're not answering my question. I'm trying to figure some things out right now. Can you give me a little more time? She nodded against my shoulder. Will you tell me the truth when you're ready? I promise. After she went back to her room, I called Reese. He's accelerating the timeline, I said. Luna overheard him talking about being almost ready to make the move. How much more time do you need? I don't know. There's so much hidden money, I can't even calculate it all. Then we need to move faster. I'm hiring a private investigator, someone who specializes in financial crimes. Is that necessary? Ruby, based on what you've shown me, your husband isn't just planning to divorce you. He's been committing tax fraud for years. This is bigger than a custody battle. I hung up and stared at my reflection in the dark window. The woman looking back at me was someone I barely recognized, harder, more calculating. My phone buzzed, a text from Cameron. Working late again. Don't wait up. I texted back, love you. Drive safe. Then I opened my laptop and started researching private investigators. Killian looked like he should be teaching college literature, not tracking down hidden money. Thin, bearded, wearing a cardigan that had seen better days. But Reese swore he was the best financial investigator in the state. Your husband's been busy, he said, spreading documents across the conference table. The Cayman account is just the tip of the iceberg. What did you find? 3 shell companies, all registered in Delaware: Meridian Wealth Management, Coastal Holdings, LLC, and something called Victoria Trust Services. My blood went cold. Victoria Trust Services? Named after his mother, I assume. She's listed as the primary beneficiary on several accounts. He pulled out a thick folder. Here's where it gets interesting. The trust was established in 1987, long before you married Cameron. What does that mean? It means this isn't just about your divorce. Your mother-in-law has been moving money through this trust for decades. Reese leaned forward. How much money are we talking about? Conservative estimate, $2.3 million. The room went silent. I felt dizzy. That's impossible, I said. Cameron's salary is good, but not that good. Most of it didn't come from Cameron's salary. Property investments, stock trades, consultant fees paid to the shell companies. Your husband's been running a side business for years. What kind of side business? Corporate consulting. He uses his position at his company to broker deals, then gets paid through the shell companies. Technically legal, but ethically questionable, and definitely not reported to his employer. I stared at the documents so he could lose his job. If they found out, yes. Reese was taking notes. What about the timeline? Any indication of when he plans to file? Based on the money movement patterns, I'd say within the next month. He's been liquidating investments and transferring everything offshore. My phone buzzed. Text from Cameron. Dinner with clients tonight. Home late. I showed them the message. He's been having a lot of client dinners lately, I said. Killian nodded. I've been tracking his credit card usage. Most of those client dinners are at restaurants near his mother's house. They're meeting regularly. Every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 6 weeks. I felt something cold settle in my chest. What are they planning? Based on the legal documents in the storage unit, they're going to claim you're mentally unstable, unfit mother. The divorce papers request full custody. That's insane. It's a strategy, Reese said grimly. Isolate you financially, then attack your credibility as a mother. Classic playbook. But I have evidence of what they're doing. We need more. We need them on record discussing their plans. Killian reached into his briefcase and pulled out a small device. Audio recorder. Looks like a bracelet. Records up to 6 hours. You want me to record my own husband? I want you to protect yourself and your children. That evening, Cameron came home around 10. I was in the kitchen wearing the recording bracelet. How was dinner? I asked. Long, boring. You know how these client things are? Which client? He paused just for a second. Morrison Industries, big potential contract. I knew he was lying. Morrison Industries was his company's biggest competitor. That's exciting. When will you know if you got it? Few more weeks. He opened the refrigerator. Any leftovers? I made your favorite pasta. It's in the fridge. While he ate, I asked casual questions about work, about his schedule, about his mother. Normal wife conversation. He answered easily, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. Mom called today, he said suddenly. Oh, how is she? Good. She wants to have dinner this weekend, all of us. That sounds nice. She's been asking about you lately, wondering if you're happy. What did you tell her? That you seem different, more independent. The way he said it made my skin crawl. Is that bad? No, of course not. It's just unexpected. I smiled and kissed his cheek. I'm just trying to grow as a person. Isn't that what you want? Absolutely. Later, after he fell asleep, I listened to the recording. Most of it was mundane, but there was one moment that made my blood run cold. When I'd asked about his mother, he'd said she was good, but the recording picked up something I'd missed in real time. Right after that, he'd whispered something under his breath. Soon. I played it back 3 times to be sure. Cameron had whispered soon when talking about his mother. I texted Killian, got something. Can we meet tomorrow? His response came immediately, yes. And Ruby, be careful. If they suspect you know something, they might accelerate their timeline. I looked at Cameron sleeping beside me, his face peaceful and innocent in the moonlight. This man who'd promised to love and protect me was planning to destroy me. I opened my blueprint notebook and wrote, Day 23, he's getting suspicious. Timeline accelerating. Need to move faster. Then I started planning the dinner party that would end everything. I want to throw you a dinner party, I told Cameron over breakfast, for your promotion. He looked up from his coffee. That's sweet, babe, but you don't have to. I want to. It's been too long since we've celebrated something together. I smiled. Besides, your mother keeps hinting that I don't appreciate your success enough. That got his attention. She said that? Not directly, but you know how she is. I buttered my toast casually. I thought we could invite both our families, maybe some people from work, make it special. When were you thinking? Next Saturday. I already found a beautiful venue, the Riverside Club downtown. That place is expensive. It's worth it. You've worked so hard for this promotion. I reached across and squeezed his hand. Let me do this for you. He smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from him in weeks. Okay, that sounds really nice. I'll handle everything. You just show up and enjoy being celebrated. That afternoon, I called Victoria. Ruby, dear, how lovely to hear from you, she said in that polished voice that never quite sounded warm. I'm planning a dinner party for Cameron's promotion. I'd love for you and Frederick to be there. How thoughtful. When? Next Saturday at 7, the Riverside Club. That's quite fancy for a family dinner. Cameron deserves something special. He's worked so hard, and I know how proud you are of him. Of course I'm proud, though I do hope you're not overextending yourselves financially. We're fine, Victoria. Actually, I wanted to ask you something. Yes? I've been thinking about going back to work, part-time maybe. Cameron's been so supportive of me finding myself again. There was a pause. Has he now? He says independent women are more interesting, that he fell in love with my ambition. How immodern of him! I just wanted to make sure you'd be supportive too. I know how much your opinion means to him. Well, I suppose as long as the children don't suffer. Oh, they won't. I'd never put my career before my family. That's not who I am. No, I don't suppose it is. After I hung up, I called Reese. The dinner's set for Saturday. Did you contact the tax investigator? Marcus will be there. I told him you're introducing him as a family friend who works in finance. And the servers? 2 of them will be recording everything, audio and video. What about the legal papers? I'll have them ready. The moment Cameron or his mother says anything incriminating on record, we serve the injunction. And if they don't, they will. People like them can't help themselves when they think they're winning. Saturday evening, I stood in the mirror just in my dress, black, elegant, appropriate for a celebration or a funeral. Cameron came up behind me and kissed my neck. You look beautiful. Thank you. I'm proud of you for doing this. It means a lot. I just want everyone to see how successful you've become. We arrived at the Riverside Club at 6:30. The private dining room was perfect, intimate enough for conversation, but large enough that people could move around. I'd arranged the seating carefully. Cameron at the head of the table, Victoria to his right, me to his left, everyone else positioned where they could hear everything. The guests arrived promptly. My sister and her husband, Cameron's brother and his wife, 3 couples from Cameron's work, Frederick looking uncomfortable in his suit, and Marcus, the tax investigator, who I introduced as an old friend from college who works in finance. Victoria swept in wearing pearls and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ruby, darling, this is lovely, she said, air kissing my cheek, though perhaps a bit much for a simple promotion. Nothing's too much for Cameron, I replied. Dinner went smoothly. Conversation flowed, wine was poured, everyone seemed relaxed. I played the perfect hostess, making sure glasses stayed full and everyone felt included. During the main course, Victoria leaned over to Cameron. Your wife seems different lately, she said quietly, but not quietly enough. Different how? More assertive. It's not entirely becoming. Cameron glanced at me. I was deep in conversation with Marcus about investment strategies, laughing at something he'd said. She's just finding herself, Cameron said. It's temporary. I hope so. Independent women can be so difficult to manage. She's not difficult. She's just exploring. Well, make sure she doesn't explore too far. You know what happened with your father's first wife. My blood went cold, but I kept smiling at Marcus. That was different, Cameron said. Was it? She got ideas too. Started asking questions about money, about business. Look how that ended. Mom, that's ancient history. History has a way of repeating itself, dear. I excused myself from my conversation and stood up, wine glass in hand. I'd like to make a toast, I announced. The room quieted. Cameron smiled up at me expectantly. To my wonderful husband, I began, who's worked so hard for this promotion. Everyone raised their glasses. But actually, I continued, I have an announcement of my own to make. Cameron's smile faltered slightly. I've been doing some exploring lately, as you all know, learning new things, discovering parts of myself I'd forgotten. Victoria's eyes narrowed. And I've learned something very interesting about success, about what it really takes to get ahead in this world. I reached into my purse and pulled out a small remote. I've learned that sometimes the people closest to you aren't who you think they are. I pressed the button. A screen descended from the ceiling and the first screenshot appeared. Account balance, $87,000. Cameron went white. Ruby, what are you doing? Cameron's voice was tight. I'm celebrating your success, honey. I clicked to the next slide. Text messages between Cameron and Victoria appeared on screen. Look, everyone can see how proud your mother is of your achievements. Victoria's face had gone pale. Turn that off, now. But we're just getting to the good part. I read from the screen. The escape fund is almost ready. Ruby won't see it coming. Gasps around the table. Cameron's brother stared at the screen, then at Cameron. What the hell is this? It's a misunderstanding, Cameron said, standing up. Ruby, we need to talk privately. Oh, but your guests are enjoying this so much. I clicked again. Bank transfer records appeared. Look at all these interesting transactions. $2.3 million moved through shell companies. Ruby, stop. Victoria's voice was sharp. You're embarrassing yourself. Am I? Let me show you something else. I clicked to the next slide. Property deeds for rental units I never knew we owned. Tax returns showing income that was never reported to Cameron's employer. Marcus, the tax investigator, was taking notes. Cameron noticed and his face went white. Who is that man? Victoria demanded. Oh, that's Marcus. He works for the IRS. I smiled sweetly. He's very interested in unreported income. Cameron lunged for the remote, but I stepped back. Don't you want to see the rest? There's so much more. I clicked again. Here's my personal favorite. The unsigned divorce papers where you're requesting full custody because I'm allegedly mentally unstable. My sister gasped. Cameron, you didn't. This is insane, Victoria said, standing up. Ruby, you're having some kind of breakdown. Am I? Or am I finally seeing clearly? I clicked to the next slide. Here's a recording from last week. Would you like to hear it? Cameron's voice filled the room. Ruby doesn't suspect anything. The timeline is still on track. Then Victoria's voice. Good. Women like her always think they're safe because they gave up their careers. She'll learn. The room erupted. Cameron's co-workers were staring at him in shock. His brother was shaking his head. My sister looked like she wanted to throw something. You recorded us? Cameron's voice was incredulous. I documented everything. Every lie, every hidden account, every cruel conversation. I clicked again. But here's what I found most interesting. A new document appeared. Old bank records from the 1980s. Victoria Trust Services, established 1987. But look at this signature on the original documents. Victoria went rigid. That's not Victoria's signature. It's someone else's. Someone named Margaret. I looked directly at Frederick. Your first wife, right? Frederick's face crumpled. Ruby, don't. Don't what? Don't tell the truth? Don't expose the fact that Victoria stole her inheritance? I clicked to the next slide. Margaret left everything to her children from her first marriage. But somehow, after she died, all that money ended up in Victoria's control. That's enough, Victoria hissed. Is it? Because I have more. Financial records showing how you've been using this same playbook for decades. Find a woman, isolate her, then take everything when she becomes inconvenient. You're delusional, Victoria said, but her voice was shaking. Am I? Then explain this. I clicked to the final slide. A letter from Margaret to her children, written right before she died. She suspected someone was poisoning her. The room went dead silent. Frederick stood up slowly. Where did you get that? It was in the safety deposit box, along with everything else. I looked at Victoria. You didn't just steal her money, you killed her for it. That's a lie, Victoria screamed. Is it? Because I've already turned copies of everything over to the police. They're reopening Margaret's case. Reese appeared from the back of the room with 2 officers. Cameron, you're being served with an injunction freezing all assets pending investigation. She handed him the papers. Victoria, you're under arrest for tax evasion and fraud. This is ridiculous, Victoria said as the officers approached her. You can't prove anything. Actually, we can, Marcus said, standing up. We've been investigating the Victoria Trust for months. Your daughter-in-law just provided the missing pieces. Victoria's face twisted with rage. You little bitch! You have no idea what you've done. I know exactly what I've done, I said calmly. I protected my children from growing up thinking this is normal. As the officers led Victoria away, she turned back to Cameron. Fix this. Do whatever it takes. But Cameron was staring at the screen, at the evidence of his own crimes displayed for everyone to see. His career was over. His mother was going to prison. His secret accounts were frozen. Ruby, he said quietly, we can work this out. No, we can't. I walked to the back of the room where Luna and Marley were waiting with Camila. I'd arranged for them to be picked up from my sister's house once everything was over. Did we win, Mom? Luna asked as we walked to the car. I looked back at the restaurant, at Cameron standing alone among the wreckage of his lies. Yes, sweetheart, we won. But as we drove away, I wondered what exactly I'd won and what it had cost me to get it. The news broke on Tuesday morning. Local woman arrested in decades-old murder case was the headline in the city paper. Victoria's mugshot stared back at me from my phone screen. Mom, there are reporters outside, Luna said, peeking through the living room curtains. Stay away from the windows, sweetheart. My phone had been ringing nonstop. Reporters, neighbors, people from Cameron's work. I'd stopped answering. Camila came over with coffee and groceries. How are you holding up? She asked. I don't know. I keep waiting to feel something. Relief, maybe, or satisfaction. What do you feel? Empty. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Frederick standing on my porch, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Ruby, please, can we talk? I opened the door but didn't invite him in. I need to tell you something, he said, about Margaret. I don't want to hear it. You need to hear it because what you did, it's going to change everything. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. Margaret was your therapist, he said quietly. What? When you were 12, after your parents' divorce, you saw her for about 6 months. The world tilted. I remembered Dr. Margaret, kind eyes, gentle voice, the woman who'd helped me understand that my parents' problems weren't my fault. She died right after you stopped seeing her, Frederick continued. Car accident, they said, but she'd been getting sicker for weeks before that. Victoria killed my therapist. Victoria killed a lot of people's therapists. Margaret was helping women leave abusive marriages, teaching them to recognize financial control, emotional manipulation. His voice broke. She was helping them fight back. And Victoria couldn't let that continue. Victoria saw Margaret as a threat to everything she'd built, the trust, the money, the control over Cameron. He looked at me with haunted eyes. You weren't the first woman Cameron targeted, Ruby. There were others. Women who got too close, asked too many questions. What happened to them? They disappeared, moved away suddenly. One had a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized. Another lost custody of her children after being declared mentally unfit. I felt sick. How many? I don't know. I was too much of a coward to count. Why didn't you stop her? Because I was afraid. Because she had evidence of things I'd done, mistakes I'd made. She owned me just like she owned Cameron. My phone buzzed. Text from Reese. Cameron's company fired him. Criminal investigation pending. He's lost everything, I said, showing Frederick the message. Good. Maybe now he can become the man he was supposed to be. What do you mean? He wasn't always like this. When he was young, before Victoria got her claws in him, he was different, kinder. She molded him into what she needed. That doesn't excuse what he did to me? No, it doesn't, but maybe it explains it. That evening, Reese came over with final custody papers. Cameron's not contesting anything, she said. Full custody to you, child support, half of all legitimate assets. What about the hidden money? Most of it's tied up in the criminal investigation, but there's enough in the legitimate accounts to keep you comfortable. And Victoria? Federal charges for tax evasion, fraud, and they're reopening Margaret's case as a homicide. She's looking at life in prison. After Reese left, I sat in my kitchen staring at the custody papers. Luna came downstairs in her pajamas. Mom, are you okay? I'm trying to be. Dad called earlier while you were talking to the lawyer lady. My stomach clenched. What did he say? He wanted to know if I hated him. What did you tell him? I told him I was confused and sad, but not hate. She climbed onto my lap. Do you hate him? I thought about it, about the man who'd kissed me goodnight while planning to destroy me, about the father who'd been willing to call me mentally unstable to get custody, about the husband who'd hidden millions while I clipped coupons. I hate what he did, but I don't think I hate him. Good. Hate makes people do terrible things. Out of the mouths of babes. My phone rang. Cameron's number. Don't answer it, Luna said. I have to. We need to figure out how to co-parent. I picked up. Hello, Cameron. Ruby, I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I need you to know. Okay. I never wanted it to go this far. I never wanted to hurt you or the kids. But you did. I know. I was weak. I let her control me and I made terrible choices. Yes, you did. Is there any chance, any possibility that we could try to work things out? I looked at Luna, who was shaking her head vigorously. No, Cameron, there isn't. I understand. But Ruby, thank you. For what? For stopping me before I became her completely. For saving our kids from growing up thinking this was normal. After I hung up, Luna hugged me tight. You did the right thing, Mom. Did I? Sometimes I feel like I became just as cold as they were. You protected us. That's what moms do. Maybe she was right. Maybe that was enough. I was sitting at my kitchen table, writing the final entry in my blueprint notebook, when the doorbell rang. Through the window I saw a woman about my age holding a manila envelope. Are you Ruby? She asked when I opened the door. Yes. My name is Sarah. I think we need to talk. She looked nervous, fidgeting with the envelope. Something about her seemed familiar. I saw the news about Victoria, about what she did to Margaret. Her voice shook. Margaret was my therapist, too, 20 years ago. I invited her in. She sat across from me at the same table where I'd planned Cameron's destruction. I was married to Victoria's nephew, she said. David. He did the same thing to me that Cameron did to you. The hidden accounts, the secret planning, the psychological games. What happened? I tried to fight back, hired a lawyer, gathered evidence. But then I started getting sick. Dizzy spells, nausea, memory problems. She opened the envelope and pulled out medical records. The doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. Victoria. I think so, but I couldn't prove it. David had me committed for psychiatric evaluation, said I was paranoid, delusional. I lost custody of my son. I'm sorry. Margaret was the only one who believed me. She was helping me document everything, building a case. Then she died, and I had no one. Sarah pulled out a photograph, a young boy, maybe 8 years old. This is my son, Michael. He's 28 now. I haven't seen him since he was 10. Where is he? David raised him to believe I abandoned them, that I was mentally ill and dangerous. Tears ran down her cheeks. But after the news broke, Michael called me. He said he'd always wondered about his mother's side of the story. That's wonderful. He wants to meet. After 18 years, my son wants to see me. She wiped her eyes. Because you had the courage to expose what they did. I handed her a tissue. I didn't do it for courage. I did it for revenge. Does it matter why you did it? You stopped them. You saved other women from going through what we went through. After Sarah left, I called Camila. How do you feel about what you've accomplished? She asked. Hollow, like I won the battle but lost something important in the process. What did you lose? I don't know. Maybe this ability to trust people. Maybe the part of me that believed in love. Or maybe you just learned to protect yourself. That evening, Luna found me in the living room, staring at the fireplace. Mom, can I ask you something? Always. Do you regret what you did to Dad? I thought about it, really thought about it. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that he put us in that position. But no, I don't regret protecting you and Marley. Good, because I'm proud of you. Even though I became someone harder, someone who could plan and scheme and hurt people, you became someone who fights back. That's different. The next morning, I drove to the Women's Legal Aid office downtown. The director, a woman named Patricia, met me in the lobby. I have something for you, I said, handing her a box. Inside were copies of everything: the blueprint notebook, the financial records, the legal strategies Reese had used, a complete playbook for recognizing and fighting financial abuse. This is incredible, Patricia said, flipping through the pages. We could help so many women with this information. That's the idea. Would you be willing to speak to some of our clients? Share your story? I don't know if I'm ready for that. Think about it. Sometimes the most powerful thing is knowing you're not alone. I drove home thinking about Sarah, about Margaret, about all the women who'd been silenced by people like Victoria and Cameron. Maybe my story could help them find their voices. That night I tucked Marley into bed. She was almost asleep when she whispered, Mom, are we safe now? Yes, baby, we're safe. And we're going to stay together? Forever and always. After she fell asleep, I went back to my kitchen table and opened a new notebook. On the first page, I wrote, How to Recognize Financial Abuse, a guide for women who want to fight back. I thought about cracking Cameron open, about becoming the storm, about living with what the rain leaves behind. But maybe the rain didn't just wash things away. Maybe it also helped new things grow. I started writing, and for the first time in months, I felt something other than emptiness. I felt hope. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw another woman, younger this time, holding a newspaper clipping about Victoria's arrest. I opened the door. "Are you Ruby?" she asked. "I think I need your help." I smiled and stepped aside to let her in. "Come in. Let's talk."